Hello， 大家好，我又回了2个色号，欢迎回到我的频道摸爬滚打，我是汪大财。夏威夷旅行的第2天，然后我们是来到了，我也不懂是什么地方，反正是居民生活区。然后我们准备去坐潜艇，今天坐潜艇和看那个魔鬼鱼。魔鬼鱼等下晚上太阳下山以后。那我们现在是在一个万豪酒店的某一个分舵 ，Courtyard 是什么鬼？然后对，就这个 Atlantic 大西洋潜艇公司，它总部是在檀香山。今天我看错，我差点以为我们要去檀香山那个岛。然后总部在那边，然后它在这边有个营业点，我们就坐潜艇去玩一圈。那这里就是后艇大厅，这一些估计都是我们的乘客，就是大家一起去坐潜艇的。然后这里有个画展，就告诉你之前是发生了哪些悲惨的事情，为了争夺土地、争夺生存资源。哎呦，还有人被逼下悬崖的。那等一下，待会儿我们看。反正那时候船很简陋吧，但还是能够穿越大洋，还能借助风的力量。哎，风力真的很大，所以的话不借白不借。在这附近真是到处都是被吹成狗的感觉，每时每刻我就感觉你要能用好风力，那船可以开得非常快。你看那个浪那么大，你就知道了，对吧？然后这是原来是夏威夷原来原住民。is up a little bit. 好，我们要先坐这艘船到海上。Thanks。先坐这艘船到海上。然后潜艇呢，好像是在远处的那一艘，看见没有？远处那一艘。哎呦！哦哟，头晕，升停了。Two. This way?
Yeah. This way and down. Gotta hold on.
Okay.
Hold on and down. Hold on to the railing and down. There you go. Perfect.
我的话，等一下我手机脱手啊，掉下去啊！还有个这种救生小艇，我都不知道我们在水下出事的小艇有顶什么用。然后这是我们的潜水艇。不知道有没有鱼雷，我找一下鱼雷。哎，看来这个是观光用的啦。然后那边有后舱，看来前后舱是隔开的，我们走后舱进入。Wait right here, and I'm going to help you, okay? Here. 好，我们下到潜艇里来了。然后这大概就是，哎呦，反正就是密闭空间，你知道那种的。然后这是船组成员，然后往上就是我们的那个舱门，然后前面是潜艇的头，然后一艘小潜艇。
Roger, thank you.
看看能不能找到美人鱼吧，这一次。
not exist down here. If you had anything red on when you came aboard, it no longer is that color. It's probably turned to a dark pink or dark purple or maroon color. Alright. We're coming into a school of fish. I see them on the port side, and a few coming into view down, right straight down below us on the starboard side. Those are the yellow, or the blue-striped snapper. It's a yellow fish that has blue lines down their side.
Oh, 那么大一片鱼。
Those are the blue-striped snapper, are an alien species. Yeah, there's a better view on the starboard side. Further away. The ones with the yellow tails. Now these ta'ape, as they are called, were imported in 1958 from French Polynesia. They came up here in order, or they were brought up here to have a supplemental inshore food source. And as a result, they have taken over some of the areas of the reef that other fish would normally be on. They are good to eat, so if you go out fishing and catch any, don't throw them back. They only get to be about a pound, so it takes a couple to make a taco. Very good tasting. Those are ta'ape. Looks like teeth with an extra A, and they did come from French Polynesia. We don't have T in the Hawaiian alphabet, and we also don't have R.
Lots of fishies all down there, you see them? All on the reef.
Oh.
And now that we're down here, we're in the coral area. This coral reef is called a cold water coral. Also, it's a hard stony coral, and it's built by a tiny little animal called a coral polyp. Now everything that you're seeing out here is the limestone superstructure. That's what coral is. The same thing as Tums or calcium supplements that you can buy in the drugstore. This coral is, like I say, built by a tiny little animal called a polyp. And in that polyp's tissue, there's actually an algae. Now that algae has a symbiotic relationship with the coral animal. The algae delivers oxygen and plant sugars as a result of photosynthesis, and the algae or the coral animal releases CO2 and nitrogenous waste product. That's how they both survive together until you get down past 100 feet, when the density of seawater makes it much harder for the algae to have that photosynthesis. There's basically only two types of coral down here. The stuff that looks like lumpy mashed potatoes is called lobe coral, and the stuff that looks like thousands of fingers, finger coral. 80% of all the fish that we see are grazers. Now that's a real important thing. That's that makes it very, very easy for the coral to survive. Otherwise, the surface of all this superstructure would get very quickly overgrown by algae that grows on the sides of everything down here. And that's how they make their living. They're living in a gravity-free world. They're cruising around. So in the grazer category, we have the surgeon fish that I've already told you about. We also have the tangs, which are a cousin to the surgeon fish. And the most important tang that we have is the yellow tang. The yellow tang. Oh, here comes a predator fish up on the starboard side. There was a bluefin trevally. They will swim out of eyesight underneath the sub, frustrating us. Every once in a while they'll be going to off to see if they can catch something, but most of the time they just kind of cruise underneath. There that trevally goes on the port side. They're swimming off. Blue silverfish. There's the world's largest cheesefish.
条白鱼在那里是什么？海参、海胆。
You see a beautiful stand of flake coral. And flake coral is kind of like the petals of a rose, and very beautiful. Flake coral doesn't do well when you get close to shore because the wave action will break up those flake coral edges real quickly. Alrighty guys, we're getting close to the first of our two shipwrecks that we're going to be cruising around. Down on the starboard side there's some long-nosed butterfly fish. I'll talk about those a little bit more. Hopefully we'll see one or two of those here on this shipwreck. Now we're doing the port side first. This is a World War II era landing craft. Now all of that twisted metal that you see on the ocean floor before we get to there used to be the deck house that was ripped off over the last 26 years or so. Actually, it was ripped off back in the early 2000s. A bunch of raccoon butterfly fish up there by the stern. Yeah, and there's a threadfin butterfly as well. Those little tiny brown fish are called the chocolate dip damselfish. Now this vessel sank for lack of better care, to tell you the truth. It had the bilge pump run the battery power down, and then the owner didn't come out here and recharge the batteries. It slowly started shipping water in and ended up down flooding and sinking right on its mooring. This is the same type of vessel that you would find in the opening scenes of Saving Private Ryan. The bow door in the front, of course, that folds down, and the troops go running out over the sandbar. properly for being shot. Now we're going to spin around and show the starboard side. Starboard side get the equal front row view here. We'll do the same thing when we get to the second of our two shipwrecks out there on further south. Anybody have any questions that you'd like to ask? I'd be happy to make something up. I'm a tour guide, you know.
So that's the part of the crane.
The noise, good fertilizer, and no one else I chew them on purpose because they're not too good for the so I chew them and then bury them in the good fertilizer.
Yeah, this landing craft was called the Predator when it was on the surface, and the guy that owned it, I guess technically he still owns it, but he never visits it anymore. And he planned on using this as a shark program. He wanted to have people come out, and he would start chumming the water, blood guts and so forth, and he had a big boom installed. This boom was to raise and lower a cage in the water so that the shark enthusiasts could get inside the cage to take the pictures of sharks swimming around. It wasn't a very popular business model in this close to shore, because there's a lot of different activities that oh, there's a barracuda! Ah, the barracuda. Now, that barracuda and that bluefin trevally are both presenting themselves as clients to a couple little yellow and blue fish called cleaner wrasses, and those cleaner wrasses will eat the parasites off the sides of their body, and that's how they make a living. That's a cleaning station, and any fish can be a client. All it has to do is swim up there and kind of remain motionless to give the cleaner wrasse a chance to come up alongside. Now, I don't know about the barracuda, but the fish that has the grand-eyed emperor, you can see the cleaner wrasse actually swimming in the gills and out of the mouth, giving them a nice cleaning job. I don't know whether they would trust the barracuda.
That looks like a piece of landing craft.
Let's show it, Dylan. There's more stuff coming. There were those big fish coming by. See?
All right. Now we're done with that first shipwreck, the Predator. We'll be heading out to the water.
I did.
I said I'd talk about the long-nosed butterfly fish. The reason I do so is that it has the longest Hawaiian name. And it's a square yellow fish with a long skinny nose, and that little square yellow fish is in Hawaiian is called the Lau Wili Wili Nuku Nuku Oi Oi. There are some hillet seed butterfly fish on the port side. There's a yellowtail chorus on the starboard side. The long-nosed butterfly fish's Hawaiian name is 23 letters long, and that beats out the Hawaii state fish by 2 letters, and that is the and every once in a while, one of these long-nosed butterfly fish will turn black in color, and then it's called the La Willy Willy Nuka Nuka Oi Oi Ele Ele. 29 letters. There's a larger fish that has yellow vertical bars in the back half of the body. That is the Peacock Grouper. Peacock Grouper made the same journey that the Ta'ape did in 1958. And it took those fish about 13, 14 years to migrate from Oahu down here to the Big Island. Call that crappie.
How do fish group and where do they go? They go to school. Like, he's called a school of fish. It's too like big.
There's two of the largest tanks that we have, the Sailfin Tanks on the starboard side.
I've learned about dolphins and why they're so oh wow! And there's the one. Look. And good. Look. I like how the dolphins are so intelligent because they look like. Oh my God! Look. I see it.
As we get deeper, you'll see one of the, a lot more of what we call the spiny sea urchins out there. They're filter feeders, and along with the sea slugs and the shellfish, spiny sea urchins keep the sand nice and clean down in the hole there. And also side spot.
我发现就是哪里有沉船，哪里就有一堆鱼啊，没有沉船的没那么多。这么多小鱼，这里也没有大鱼过来吃它们。
Bowsprit railing. That is called by a coral that died back in 2015 as a result of the coral bleaching. I'll talk more about that when we get back up. Interesting. It was a worldwide bleaching event. Now we're going to spin around and show the port side.
See people down there. It's like I love him.
Yeah, nobody really knows how or why the Angea caught fire, but the lady that was living on board had to abandon ship, and she swam over to the dinner cruise boat that was moored nearby, and spent the night on board. And I guess they say she found the liquor cabinet, and she had taken her clothes off to let them dry on the rail, and she fell asleep, and the crew came in the morning and found her wearing nothing but a smile, passed out on the deck. So now this vessel is called the Naked Lady instead of the Angea. Alright, there's that grand-eyed emperor out there on the port side now. That fish has the shortest Hawaiian name. It's called Moo. tell you guys, we've been disappointed as of late because there is unusually a white-tip reef shark that lives in the stateroom and comes out.
We're requesting heading and clearance for surfacing.
Flight to cruise for depth of 40 feet. Your heading is going to be 060.
40 feet, 060, air is underway.
It's because we're that below. What is the water? Oh no.
That means that we're allowed to go up to 40 feet below the surface, and if we don't get clearance by then, we have to hold at that depth so that we don't accidentally surface underneath somebody else. The U.S. Navy's done that a couple times. Once here in Hawaii, over in Oahu, a submarine did a Hollywood servicing for some VIP guests and came up underneath a Japanese training vessel, and they sank that vessel, and there were several fatalities. I have to tell you that Atlantis did surface underneath a whale shark once. That was also on Oahu. The area was clear of all vessels, but the surface officer didn't notice that there was a big whale shark there until all of a sudden the sub came up and the whale shark was draped over the midsection. So they had to release all the air ballast, go back down, and let the whale shark swim off.
那艘船在那里看了，哎呦晕了！基本上你是出海的东西，只用准备一个晕船药就好了。然后这里是海滩，可以看到后面的水还挺蓝、挺浅的，挺舒服的。其实我们可以住在那个酒店，一看就非常的便宜。对，一看就非常便宜，然后就来这里玩。那有个防波堤，那边是有海滩，还有游泳池。对，有海滩，然后还有个小帐篷，有游泳池。那我觉得来这里玩就很好，又能住那种很便宜的酒店。搞嘛呀，就住那度假村。那我们先坐潜水艇就到这里，待会我们要去看魔鬼鱼。我希望这天能热一点，这海水进空气的海水暖一点，要不然让那么冷，让我去泡水里面30-40分钟，我见了鬼了！我看魔鬼鱼，我他妈抓了起来吃的心都有。哎呦，再说吧。然后我们终于来到了看魔鬼蝙蝠鱼的地方，还有太阳太晒了那边。然后这是我们预定的集合场地，这就是一个码头，那种小码头，你可以看到，除了这部骚气的车以外，那边后面都是一堆船，然后它那种船是可以用一个小皮卡拖的那种类型，就是随便搞个皮卡，然后准备搞个装船的车，就可以拖一艘这样的船。你别看它很高很大，3层，下面垫个小浮板，2个轮子就可以了。它主要是它的 towing， capacity， 就是它的拖力有多强。但其实承载像这样的船就一个小轮子，一块小板，2个小轮子就完事儿了。你看它多大的没用，像那种特别高那种的，几层那种，哎呀。其实我说坐船吧，你要是坐那种特别高的，像那种特别高的，它特别容易晕，因为同样的振幅啊，你随便摆一下，摆同样的角度，你要是坐的越高，你晃动的那个幅度就会越大。所以你坐那种呢，纯粹就是身体不好的人要谨慎啊，特别容易晕。包括你坐船，你出去看鲸鱼看什么，你也会发现，越往下坐的越往下，你稍微就不那么晃，越往上越晕。就类似于你像地震的时候，你要在摩天大楼4-5层那种，4-5层楼高那种，你感受一下地震的晃动的幅度，简直像玩海盗船一样。有个皮卡来了，我们看一下那边。夕阳西下啊！刚才我们进来的时候是有看到，他在专门倒退的下水，那边也有，脸太大挡住了，就是用那个皮卡把那船拖到港口，然后倒退的就把它下水。这里就有个专门下水的那个地方，这边有，那边也有，那边也有，然后后面也有。那我们基本上我是穿着泳裤来的， 对，直接一脱衣服就可以下水了。那水温刚才我下水试了一下，到脚踝的地方试了一下，就感觉还行，就不是冷，但是就是凉快。那等一下天冷了，风吹大了它冷没关系，我摸在水里面，只要水温不冷就行。对，真正重要是水温，那水温不太冷就行。整个摸在里面，哎呦，皮肤老化好严重哦。那水温不会太老就行，不会太冷就行了。那你自己说你外面冷，那你一上水马上拿毛巾擦干嘛？就还可以，没有我原来想的这么活不下去那种感觉。哎，居然还有人开那种敞篷车啊，找虐！你可以看到那边乌云盖天那种。你要是去那边热带雨林那边境界，基本上都是下雨的。一开敞篷车，我们这一部车其实是手动敞篷，理论上只要你愿意拆卸上面的东西都可以拆下来。对，就这么骚气的吉普车，上面整个天灵盖，整个那个盖板隔热就是一个隔热板加一个固定的钮，你把一扭，整个能拆下来。不敢拆啊，风又大又怎么，哎，算了。好了，我们先在这里等到集合的时候我们再说，先上个厕所。对，中间这个地方不是什么检票处啊，就是厕所，最显眼的建筑。